So first things first, let's give ourselves the ability to shoot more than one ball into our game. For starters, that'll make debugging a little easier, and it also might make this feel a little more like a game. So I'm basically going to do that by adding a listener to the stage that's going to detect when we click our mouse, and if we do, we'll launch a ball sort of in the direction that our mouse cursor is at. And I'm going to start by, I'm just going to add a few constants here. Start with our, we'll call it our launch point, and this will be a point. And this is basically where we're going to shoot our ball from. And just to make it a little more centered, let's put it at 323 pixels because our application is now 646 pixels wide. And I don't know, we'll start from 10. And then we'll take our velocity and let's make that about 30. And this will be the overall velocity at which we launch the ball. So let's take advantage of that by creating a event listener on the stage. That will be a mouse event. And we'll detect a click, and we will launch the ball. I'm going to generate this handler, and this launch ball listener is basically going to work a lot like this make ball function that we've kind of got set up to happen automatically when we start the application. We'll remove this in a bit. But the first thing we're going to do is cut and paste this down to where our make ball function is, just so I got something to kind of copy off of. Now it looks like when we create our ball actor, we're going to need three things: the parent, the initial launch point, both of those we know already, and then the velocity at which we're going to launch the ball. And that's the only part that I think we probably need to calculate. We're basically going to need to see where the cursor is and then launch our ball vaguely in that direction. So let's do that. So our overall direction, this will be a new point where we're going to take the mouse X and the mouse Y, and we're going to subtract from that the initial launch point. This will basically give us a vector that tells us what direction we want the ball to travel initially. Of course, this vector could be of any length, so let's make sure we set the length so that it's actually equal to that launch velocity variable that we defined above. And luckily with Flash's built-in normalize function, I can do that just by saying normalize and set it to the launch velocity. Pretty nifty. So now this will be a vector that is always of length 30 that points in the direction we want the ball to travel in. And now creating the ball is as simple as creating a new ball actor. This will be the parent, the location will be our launch point, and our initial velocity will be this direction. And now, like in the make ball function, I'm going to add in this event listener where if the ball is off screen, we'll handle it. And we will add it to our all actors array. Now what I should be doing here is probably detecting that there's only one ball on screen at any given time. The way I would probably do that is I would create some sort of member variable called active ball. I would set it to this new ball variable that we've just created. When the ball goes off screen, I would maybe then set it to null, and I would only launch a ball if we've detected that our member variable is equal to null. I think you could probably figure that out for yourself. I'm not going to do that here because, one, it'll probably make debugging a little easier if I can launch a few more balls at once, and also I think it'll probably be more fun. We'll kind of get a nice little multi-ball functionality. Just to clean up my code a little bit, I'm going to get rid of this make ball function. And I'm going to scroll up here and make sure I remove it here. So now the only way to add a ball in our world is by clicking. I'm going to run this and see if it all works. Whoops. And that was a pretty dumb typo. Sorry about that. Yeah, you've got to do this. There we go, that's better. And now when I click, looks like I'm kind of launching the ball in that direction. We got a few of them on screen. By the way, Box2D is smart enough to know to make these balls all interact with each other. We're getting a little weirdness because as soon as any ball goes off screen, we're removing all pegs that get lit up. So you kind of see some of that here. But it should work. You know, that velocity looks a little wimpy to me. Let's bump it up to like, I don't know, 60. Actually, wait, no, let's make it 90. All right. There we go. It's a little better. Whee! Isn't this fun? And then, of course, they all disappear as soon as any ball travels off screen. By the way, if you want to kind of double check and make sure that we're cleaning up everything correctly, I often will go and let's take a look at all of our objects on screen by going to the debug menu and clicking list objects. And over here in our output, we can kind of check and see. I don't really know what all of these actually are, but you can kind of see that we've got roughly, I don't know, about 10 to 12 objects, which probably roughly mirrors what we've got here on screen. So that's good. If I still had like hundreds of pegs and several dozen balls that for some reason weren't getting cleaned up, I think they would probably show up here. So I think this is pretty cool, but we probably need to get back to the business at hand of making a more fully featured Peggle application by creating that little bonus chute that travels back and forth at the bottom. We're going to be tackling that over the next few series of lessons. Stick around.